It's Erick Erickson. Welcome. It is Atlanta's Evening News starting now at 4:07 p.m. The phone number, same as it was before we left, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. We've got a lot to talk about. There is some breaking news happening now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has gone down 660 points, closing down 2.8%, dropping significantly because of Apple. That is, Apple blaming a lot of their problems on the president's trade war with China, the impact his tariffs are having on China. We will get into that. And also, the New York Times reporting and sources close to the White House are confirming the president is considering former Senator Jim Webb of Virginia, a Democrat, to be Secretary of Defense. Jim Webb had been the Secretary of the Navy during Reagan's administration and quit. Ronald Reagan reportedly and actually publicly did say that the Navy would not miss him. He then got elected to the Senate and was very miserable in the Senate, then ran for the presidency as a Democrat. The Democrats rejected him, and now the president considering him. I don't know that this is the guy that the president wants. We will get into that. And Nancy Pelosi back as Speaker of the House. Before we get into any of that, we need to go back to the issue where we left at the end of December, right before Christmas, the government shutdown that actually happened, and why we're still in the government shutdown. First of all, I think it's worth noting in the government shutdown that no one is dying. The nation continues to survive during the government shutdown. Individuals are fine. You can actually still go visit parks. There was a story in the New York Times, I believe, or the Washington Post that people are having to basically poop on the side of the road in Yellowstone and elsewhere because the bathrooms are closed, but people can go visit the parks. The world has not come to an end with the government shutdown, and I think that's a good thing. I think gridlock is good. I think it's a feature, not a bug. But the reason that the Democrats don't want to go along with the president on building the wall or offer any resources on the wall has to do with breaking the president. And I think that's very, very important for us to understand. It's something that I talked to a prominent Democrat about over the Christmas vacation. And I want to relay to you what this Democrat said to me about this. The Democrats don't support the wall. They believe the polling is on their side. They very, very, very vehemently believe that the nation doesn't want the wall. They don't think we need to fund the wall. And if you'll recall, they offered the president the wall back in February, and the president accepted their offer and then rejected it. So the Democrats have no intention of giving it to him now, and they have no intention of giving it to him for a couple of reasons. One, they think they need to show the president's base that the president is not the man they thought he was. And that's a very key point here that I think is going to backfire on the Democrats. They want to show that they can bend the president to their will. They can make the president cave. And if they make the president cave, they think they are giving a middle finger to Rush Limbaugh and Laura Ingraham and conservative voters and Sean Hannity and Fox News watchers. They really want to do this because they think it is a psychological impact on Trump voters to see the president cave. I actually think that'll make Trump voters more emboldened, more willing to go to the polls in 2020, and more willing to rally around the president. But the Democrats are convinced they've got to break the president on this. The other issue with the Democrats and why they want to do this is they think that the Republicans in the House and the Senate are with them on making the president cave. They really do believe that the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate don't want the wall either. And because the Republicans in the House and the Senate don't want the wall, they think they have more ammunition to be able to stick to their guns and not cave with the president. And I think actually that we're going to find the Democrats really do not back down on this. Now, there is some question, and the Democrat I talked to said this is one of the big concerns for the Democrats. There is some question as to whether a talking point being raised by Republicans in the media might actually get them to cave. And that is the compromise talking point. You know, Democrats for a long time have been telling the president he's got to compromise. He's got to compromise. Well, here comes the president saying, look, we'll take $2.5 billion. I wanted $5 billion. We'll take $2.5 billion. And by the way, you were in fact willing to give me the partial $5 billion for the wall back in February. So let's go down to $2.5 billion. You're already starting to see people like Savannah Guthrie and Dana Bash on CNN and others asking the Democrats, aren't you refusing to compromise? They are deeply worried about that talking point because that is a talking point they think resonates after years of saying it's Republicans who need to compromise. If the Republicans can kind of get this to sink in that it's the Democrats who are refusing to compromise, well, then they may be able to move forward. But you got these two competing visions here. Let me play the soundbite by Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, about the president and the wall.
The president is going to challenge the Democrats to compromise, and if they continue to say no, they're going to pay a price with the American people. Most Americans want to do two things. They want to secure our border, and they want to be reasonable to the people like the DACA population. If he gives in now, that's the end of 2019 in terms of him being an effective president. That's probably the end of his presidency.
Yes. Now, here's Nancy Pelosi's former chief of staff on the wall issue.
First of all, you have to believe her when she says that. That is not going to happen. Democrats are not going to pass a bill that's going to fund the wall. That's number one. Number two, you watched as Republicans, passed a bill in the Senate that does not fund the wall. There are votes in the House that do the same thing. Look, and Democrats have never been shy about taking steps to protect the border. If you want to have a serious discussion about border protection, about dealing with, undocumented immigration, about dealing with bipartisan immigration reform, then let's have that. The wall has become a symbol for the president and for this White House. It is a symbol for his re-election campaign, and that has to, be put on the table, and that has to come to an end.
See, notice that this is a symbol for the president's reelection, that it won't do any good. So the Democrats, they want to hurt the president's reelection. They want to hurt him with his base. This is why the Democrats will not fund the wall. They think they need to show President Trump's voters that he will sell them out. Now, one compromise that I wouldn't be surprised happens, the Democrats fund Planned Parenthood and give the president his wall and see if they can hurt him with evangelicals. One way or the other, though, I think we're ultimately going to have to see a compromise here. But right now, the Democrats have it in their head that if they compromise at all with the president on this issue, they'll be hurting themselves with their base, and they'll be helping the president with his base. And they want to hurt the president with his base. And the best way to do that is to not give him the wall and then let the president face the backlash from his own side. Now, let's go check traffic with Doug Turnbull.
Hey, Eric, good to have you on at 4 o'clock today, and I look forward